Well, you heard it here. World Series Game 3, the Astros. At least right the ship a little bit here. Get the win. Road team has won every single game, 4-1 for the Nationals. And Game 4 tomorrow adds obviously a lot of intrigue. Patrick Corbin will start for the Nationals. For the Astros, the famous undecided. Always fun there, trying to figure out what they want to do in a make or break game. Houston tomorrow night, they can make it a terrific brand new series, or you can pretty much pack it in. Good game there. Good games locally as well. The Colorado Avalanche get a 6-1 win over Las Vegas in a unusual Friday matinee game. Out in Vegas, it is Nevada Day. So they played an afternoon showcase, and it was a showcase for the Avalanche. We will have Adrian Dater at the top of the hour to talk about that game. So we'll dig into the Avs and their phenomenal start, 8-1-1. Vegas Golden Knights are no joke. Came into this game with the Avs having 15 points, and they were 7-1-1, and the Vegas Golden Knights had 14. And the Avs rolled them 40-26 on shots. You get scoring from Kadri and Calvert, Bellemare. Pierre-Edouard Bellemare had been on the Vegas Golden Knights for the last 2 seasons. Went into the visiting locker room today, but then when he got back on the ice, well, right back at home. 28 seconds in, first goal. And the Avs pretty much off to the races after that. Nathan McKinnon, mind you, has a 10-game streak with points. The Avs have only played 10 games. We'll check about that with Adrian Dater in a bit. But we want to go ahead and get to the Denver Nuggets, who just finished up their game, an overtime win, 108-107 over the Phoenix Suns. A game that was closer than it needed to be, that's for sure. But in the end, a win's a win. The Nuggets get it done. We'll have an opportunity to talk about it with our Nuggets insider, Matt Moore, next. Oh, it may be a football Friday. That doesn't mean here at the Fan Late Night we don't cover all of them. I'm not going to let you guys go when the Nuggets go ahead and win an exciting game, one that maybe shouldn't have been as close as it was. But to talk about it, our Nuggets insider Matt Moore joins us courtesy of Budweiser. And Matt, watching the last part of the fourth quarter and overtime in the studio, I was trying to figure out what was going on with the Nuggets. It seems like they had it in hand and then kept trying to find ways to give it away, but in the end, they found a way to hang on.
Yeah, I mean, just a ridiculous sequence of events with Malik Beasley fouling Ricky Rubio on a half-court heave, allowing Devin Booker to hit a big shot, just a series of errors, a comedy of errors. But the Nuggets do hold on. I knew this was going to be a tougher game than expected. The Suns have revamped their entire roster. They were a veteran group now that's going to be much better on defense. We saw that tonight. The Nuggets' offense is still out of sync. But in the end, the Nuggets did what they should do, which is they found a way to win. And that's what great teams do, is even when things don't go right, they found a way, and the Nuggets did find a way to scrape this one out.
Yeah, only shooting 39.1 from the field, 25.9 from the three-point line. The offense was not good. I mean, the only player on the entire team, there are only two that even shot 500. Paul Millsap went 3 for 6, and Malik Beasley went 7 for 11. But as you pointed out, all that sort of almost gets wiped out when you foul a guy on a half-court shot that they needed to tie, not even win. So a bizarre choice there. On the bright side, Jamal Murray gets 7 points in overtime. Nikola Jokic puts up a tremendous triple-double again. It seemed at times, and correct me if I'm wrong, I even thought I saw Nikola Jokic get a star call down low when Kelly Oubre Jr. got bounced.
Yeah, I will say this, it's kind of amazing that this team's identity so far has been defense. And we thought going in, like, okay, they'll still be good on offense, but can they repeat last year's defensive success? And so far, they have. They've absolutely been tremendous defensively. Like, there should be credit given to the Nuggets on that end of the floor. I do think that, part of the offensive issues are they've missed a lot of shots, but the Suns were making them feel it. Like, they were really up in them, contesting tight, playing really good defense. The Nuggets are going to continue, I think, to find ways to improve the offense, but to be able to find defensive answers, I think, is key. Jokic, the pass he made to Gary Harris for the go-ahead three in overtime was just an absolutely incredible. Only Jokic can make that pass.
Yeah, some of the things that he's done are just incredible. And looking at the way they played, this is one of those nights that I look at it. Will Barton was 1 for 6. Torrey Craig was 0 for 4. Why didn't Michael Porter Jr. get a crack, try to spark something tonight?
This is going to be the question all the time. Once this was a close game, Michael Porter Jr. was not going to play. That's the reality. Is that once this was a close game, you're going to see him in situations where it's comfortable. If it's a 15-point lead, if it's a comfortable second quarter, they've got a sizable lead, that's when you'll see Michael Porter Jr. But in situations like this, Malone doesn't feel he's ready. He's relying on the veterans. The team is primed to win now. As much as it's frustrating, people are going to have to be patient with Michael Porter Jr.
And they did get the win. And Phoenix did a good job, by the way, of making their shots. Then they missed one free throw, 31 for 32 from the free throw stripe. So, I mean, obviously they kept themselves in the hunt. But I guess I expected the Nuggets to – I'm not going to complain about the win. But this is a team that was minus DeAndre Ayton after his suspension. They're on the road. They have a home opener. Phoenix is on the road. I just expected a better performance from the Nuggets. Is there anything to be concerned about, or is this just one of those games you take the W and you just move on?
No, I think there's reason to be concerned. I mean, one thing to keep in mind is there's this idea of, it's Phoenix. Phoenix is terrible. So last year in the 2 wins the Nuggets had, which were blowout wins over the Suns, only 3 players are still in the rotation from that team last year, and one of them is DeAndre Ayton, who, like you said, didn't play tonight. Like, they've just revamped absolutely everybody. So the Suns are better, but the Nuggets are having offensive issues. Like, they're missing shots that they need to make, and they're going to have to figure that out. The tape is out on how their offense works, and they need to be able to make shots is the biggest thing. They're going to have to find ways to get that going. Monte Morris, other guys, they do need an offensive lift, and that's where you wonder, is it time to see a little bit of Michael Porter Jr.? Though I will say, even though Beasley had that foul late, he was crucial in getting their offense going. It's one reason Michael Malone said that he kept Beasley in late was because of the offense that Beasley brought. He was big for actually getting their offense going late.
You talked about before the opener, when you talked earlier this week, about how Jamal Murray needed to pay a little more attention, not try to be the hero, try to involve himself in the game flow. Seemed like in the fourth quarter that was a bit of a problem. In the overtime, he actually really did take the lead, but it also at the time seemed justified. What did you feel about Murray's game tonight?
It's possession by possession where, he gets it going. He tries too hard to get it going. And when he's passing, he's really making great reads. His passing is vastly improved this year. And when he trusts the offense and trusts in knowing he's going to get his shots and they're going to come and he'll be able to find good ones, he's excellent. But it's in those in-betweens when he's really trying to just take over the game. He's excited. He's got a killer instinct, and he's always looking to take over the game. Those are the situations where he gets himself in trouble. However, those are also the situations where he does things like in overtime where he is huge in giving them the advantage. You have to live with both, but there is still work to be done, I think, for Jamal, especially on defensive end. The foul on Kaminsky, which gave us a lead, was horrendous in overtime. There are things to improve, but overall, I think you're seeing strides from Jamal Murray early on.
We're talking with our Nuggets insider, Matt Moore. You can follow him on Twitter at Hardwood Paroxysm. Matt, what do they do about the offense? I mean, you have Plumlee is 0 for 2, I get it, but Craig 0 for 4, Morris 0 for 6, Barton 1 for 6. There's bad shooting nights, and there's nobody can hit water from a boat. How do they fix this?
I think the biggest thing is going to be they need to get a little bit more action going with trying to use a few new cuts with Jokic, because it does look like the defense has schemed a lot of that out. Some of it is just the guy gets some tough ones in the lane to go. They're missing at the rim a lot, and that's just odd. Like, some of that's just like that's the way it bounces. I do think they're getting good looks from three. You saw that in the Portland game. Didn't shoot as well tonight, but some of those looks were good. I think one of the things that will help them is they play the Kings on Monday. That will probably get the offense loosened up a little bit. And as they get a little bit of looser repetition versus an NBA team and not in practice, I think it'll probably come along. There's no reason to think that the Nuggets offense is going to be problematic this year, but they do have to get it going before the schedule toughens up.
Nuggets were also out-rebounded tonight, and Paul Millsap in his 22 minutes managed to only grab 2 boards. Is there anything to be concerned? I mean, Jokic pulled down 14 of them, and Murray from the point guard spot gets 7, but this seemed like one without Ayton there. The Nuggets probably should have done a lot better on the rebounding side.
You'd think that, but Baines and Kaminsky are veterans, and they actually, I think, have really good eyes for being able to control that. Plus, you've got lots of long shots. The Nuggets are creating lots of longer shots inside, and then you've got 2 guys crashing on Jokic on every possession. I think the bench has got to do a little bit better with rebounding, to be sure. I think that's a unit that's really struggling in that area. I do think that there's some concern, but a lot of it's they're facing super tall lineups consistently. They saw it in Portland. They saw it tonight with Baines and Kaminsky. I think when they start playing different types of teams, you'll probably see that rebound advantage go up. This has been one of the better rebounding teams, and maybe this is a year where that switches, but I've got pretty good reason to believe that they'll consistently be good there. Part of that also is they're rebounding worse because they're defending better. There's a relationship there, which I know that sounds counterintuitive, but it's true.
He is Matt Moore. Thank you so much. I know you're out there live at the Pepsi Center doing work, so thanks for carving out a little bit of time for us tonight. Appreciate it, especially breaking down a game that the Nuggets win. You'll take it, but they aren't all necessarily created equal. Thanks for taking a little time to explain it for us.
Yeah, a lot of work to be done, Sean. I'll talk to you on Monday.
All right, thank you very much. That is our Nuggets insider, Matt Moore. Thanks to Budweiser, official beer sponsor of the Denver Nuggets. Nuggets go to 2-0. We'll talk about that next. Regarding the Nuggets win over the Suns, 108-107, closer than you'd like it to be, but a win's a win. Nikola Jokic went for 23 points, 14 boards, 12 assists for his 29th career triple-double. That passes someone you might have heard of on the all-time list, one Michael Jeffrey Jordan. Jokic passes Jordan tonight on triple-doubles and is tied with Grant Hill now for the 13th best in history already in his career. That's impressive stuff. The only center with more in the history of the NBA is Wilt Chamberlain. That's a long way away, 78. But that's impressive. And a weird trivia question you might surprise people. Nikola Jokic has 4 triple-doubles in the postseason. That's tied for 11th all time. A special, special player. The Denver Broncos have a critical game in Indianapolis against the Colts. The Broncos believe they're still in the hunt. I don't believe they are. I believe they should be deciding who they should trade before the 29th trade deadline, just a couple days away. I think over on the RamosLaw.com test line, 303-713-1043, John has a couple ideas about that as well. How are you, John?
Hey, Sean. I'm better now that I'm calling into your show, man. What's going on?
Watch the Avs win, watch the Nuggets win. It let me put aside the Broncos' problems for a while, and then my Buffaloes found a brand new way to lose.
One take on the Nuggets before I move on to my points. Hey, Malik Beasley on tape tonight looked a lot better than he did versus Suwak Ravens in that hotel lobby, right?
Yeah. You were saying about the Broncos?
Anyways, couple things. It's been delirious, and I want to drop some pop culture references. Clockwork Orange or Donnie Darko with what a fan or you as a sports radio host are talking about the direction or where we perceive it to be versus what's putting out as the organization, a la John Elway.
Right.
And I'll just rehash it real quickly. It seems like they think they can win the next 2 games at Indy versus Cleveland at home, and their trades or what they're willing to do versus the trade deadline is contingent upon the next 2 games and the players they will activate off the IR, right, that we've been talking about all week on the fan.
Yeah.
I'm just going to throw this out there. Chris Harris. I want to talk about him.
Yeah.
Rock chalk. If we lose this game going into Indy, which I feel they're a better team, right? Sands, Andrew Luck, they've done well as Fangio praised Chris Ballard's roster construction. Something Elway's lacked, something our organization has lacked, is it's an ineptitude of Elway. He's nothing like Chris Ballard. But I think what I was calling in to say before Sunday on this Friday show was I think we need to trade Chris Harris if we lose. I've said it the last time I called. I want to re-sign Chris Harris. I wish they already did it. If they don't trade him by Tuesday and we win, give him $13 million a year. But I think the Philadelphia Eagles, my point is the Philadelphia Eagles are the best or most prime trade destination for Chris Harris. They own their own 2nd, 3rd, and 4th round pick, and I think we could trade Chris Harris coming off a loss to Indy this coming Monday. I think we could trade him for a 2nd round pick or package him and Derek Wolfe. Philadelphia also needs D-line help. I just wanted to tell the fans out there, if we lose, which, I don't have a crystal ball, but I'm being realistic from 20,000 feet. I wish Chris Harris stayed here. I want to re-sign him. And even if we trade him, I hope Elway would offer him more money than the other franchise in the open market. But I think we should trade Chris Harris to the Eagles for a 2nd round pick. And I'll let you talk. Thanks, Sean.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks for the call, John. Packaging Harrison Wolfe is problematic. That's a $17 million move. When you consider cap alone, it's actually more than that. It's closer really to $23 million. So that's probably not in the cards. Very unlikely that you're going to see him packaged. In Harris's case, he's not going to get paid more on the Broncos than he is going to be on the open market. He knows it. He'd like to test it. I think that's the way it stands. I don't think you're going to get a second-round pick for him at all, and I definitely don't think you're going to get it from the Eagles because all the reports we're getting out of Philadelphia is that the Eagles are actually expected to be potentially sellers at the trade deadline if they do anything, not buyers. So I understand that is maybe a little surprising, to be totally honest. I think the Eagles obviously are a pretty good team. They haven't played up to their level, but they're only one game behind Dallas, and they're definitely in the mix there for wild cards, although they're falling fast behind. Carolina is 4-2. They haven't even had Cam Newton back yet. Seattle's 5-2. The Rams are 4-3. Minnesota's 6-2. These are all teams that they'll be facing the wild card for. Even the Bears are 3-3 at 500, and the Eagles are sputtering around at 3-4. And apparently they are looking at the situation, and this is, I think, an interesting contrast between what the Eagles are doing and what the Broncos are doing. The Eagles look at their situation, and they are a game better than the Broncos, and I think they have better talent, 1-53, than the Broncos. And I don't think I'm really shocking a lot of people by saying that. I think they're closer to being a contender than Denver is. Denver is better than only 4 teams in the AFC, 2 of which are winless, by the way. There are no winless teams in the NFC. They're better than only the Bengals, Dolphins, Jets, and Chargers. That's it. And they're tied with the Chargers. They have them on tiebreaker. So 4 teams, that's all they're better than. Philadelphia, even at 3-4, is better than only 5 teams. Washington, Atlanta, the Giants, the Buccaneers, and the Lions. So the Eagles are in better playoff position than the Broncos. They have to hop over fewer teams than the Broncos. A couple weeks ago, you looked at it and said, oh, but the AFC's so soft, right? Well, now all of a sudden, the Bills have 5 wins, Chiefs have 5 wins, Ravens have 5 wins. The Colts will have 5 wins if they beat the Broncos. And Houston has 4 right now. So the AFC is not quite so crummy as it was a couple weeks ago. The Broncos are in a worse position than the Eagles. The Eagles have a better team than the Broncos. And it is the Eagles who are reportedly basically saying, all right, you know what? This just isn't our year. We're going to rebuild and try to move around, get some draft picks maybe, and reload for 2020. That is an aggressive move. It's kind of funny. We look at it and think, well, the Broncos are going for it. That's really aggressive. Not really. The aggressive move is 7 weeks in, realistically evaluating where you are and saying, you know what? It's probably not going to happen. We're probably not going to make the postseason. So let's start retooling for 2020 and let's do it now. That's aggressive. That's aggressive from a front office. What the Broncos are doing, say, well, we'll trade Sanders, and then we might stand pat, but we're going to try to win games, and then we'll see where we're at. That's not aggressive. That's a team that's spinning its wheels in the mud and seemingly being content there. So don't expect Chris Harris to go to the Eagles, because the Eagles, I think, have a more realistic understanding of where they sit right now than the Broncos do. And knowing that, they're probably not going to go after a $12 million salary cap hit will be free agent. But it is entirely possible, yes, entirely possible that Chris Harris will play his last game for the Denver Broncos on Sunday. The Colorado Avalanche, as I mentioned as the show began, played a matinee out in Vegas. And boy, did they put on a show. I could go with all sorts of Vegas puns, believe me. I could go all day on those. And I want to so badly, but I will spare you. Instead, we will have our Avalanche insider, Adrian Dater, break down everything that happened in the Avalanche's big 6-1 statement over the Vegas Golden Knights. Next. The Avs continue to roll. It has been a very, very impressive start. That's probably understating it for the Avalanche. And with Mikko Rantanen being out, watching secondary scoring mature and materialize for the Avalanche, especially this quick with those new lines, that's very, very promising. Over to the Denver Broncos. Many of you have been asking for it for weeks and weeks. Garrett Bowles on the bench. Sounds like you'll see it on Sunday. I'll explain next. It is a football Friday. The Denver Broncos at 2-5 go to Indianapolis, desperately needing a win if they're to fulfill what folks in Dove Valley believe is an opportunity to stay in the playoff chase. Not sure I personally agree with that, but they do. Garrett Bowles, lightning rod, holding magnet, is likely to see the bench this week in Indianapolis. Not for the entire game, but likely for part of it. Vic Fangio talked about a 3-tackle rotation. Juwan James is expected to return and play. Now, it depends on what they're going to do, but they referred to it as a 3-tackle rotation, not the situation in which Elijah Wilkinson and Juwan James split time there as James returns to form. So ostensibly, either they're going to experiment with James at left tackle, which I don't think is in the cards for this game. They're just trying to get him back at all, which means more than likely Elijah Wilkinson is going to play some snaps at left tackle, and let's see how it goes. Depending on how you look at this situation, that's either very good or very bad. RamosLaw.com text line is 303-713-1043. I'd like to hear what you think as well. Offensive linemen generally do not come out of the game, period. It's not like other positions. Their effectiveness is often based on continuity, on how long they can stay together, the familiarity with the guys on over their shoulders. Assuming you play guard or center, tackle one of those shoulders. And the Broncos have been no different. Garrett Bowles, Dalton Reisner, Connor McGovern, and Ronald Leary. Those are from left to right. Your left tackle, left guard, center, right guard. Have played 100% of the offensive snaps this season. Every one of them. Elijah Wilkinson has played 97.8. All but 10. Those 10 snaps went to Juwan James before he was hurt in the week's opening game. Or season's opening game, week 1. So the Broncos are doing what's normal in that case. What they're looking to do is unusual. And if you're really going to do a 3-tackle rotation, which means 3 guys are going to play 2 positions at different parts during the game, what that means, very simply, is that the team is looking to make a change, to see if it's feasible to make a change. And the person on that target, of course, would be Garrett Bowles. Otherwise, you'd naturally just swap out James and Wilkinson. If James isn't feeling he can go the whole game, you just have those 2 guys swap spots. Technically, yes, that's 3 tackles, but it's not really a rotation, is it? The indication is you're going to see someone take left tackle for part of the game. My guess is that will be Wilkinson. I don't think they're going to get Juwan James finally healthy after missing the better part of 7 games to switch positions on him right then. Wilkinson was on this roster as the backup to both left and right. So he's expected to be the guy. That's what you would think. This is probably not an ideal way to do it, but the Broncos aren't in an ideal situation. Bowles has the same problems with holding, which would be one thing if he was an elite blocker and holding periodically. Look, Von Miller has problems with being offsides. Can't really get around that. He does. Jumps off sides almost once a game. That's okay because for 2 ways it actually plants the seed, a couple seeds of fear in the minds of the quarterback and the guy blocking Von Miller going, oh my gosh, he's coming on a false start or an offsides type of situation, trying to force it. But it's not great to get those penalties. In Bowles' case, there's really no upside, especially when occasionally he's even holding like he did on Frank Clark against the Chiefs and still allowing the sack. Bowles has been called out for being, let's say, resistance to coaching. Maybe not being out and out difficult, but clearly not seeming to understand what the Broncos want him to do and having challenge accomplishing that. It's been talked about by Vic Fangio directly. Bowles is also expressing clear frustration that seems to be mounting week in and week out when he gets a call, being frustrated with the official, sort of acting like he didn't know that was a hold, which is something that Fangio alluded to earlier in the year, that Bowles doesn't actually know what a hold is necessarily. It's obvious the Broncos reached when they picked him in the first round a couple years ago. The question is he even feasible as a starter for you going forward? I would say as a left tackle, no, he's not. I would be willing to try Garrett Bowles as a right tackle if Juwan James could play left. Maybe not guarding the blind side would help if someone gets by Bowles. Flacco would have a chance to see it for the most part. Oftentimes you run over the right tackle as well. When Bowles' first step is forward, he can be effective. When his first step is backwards, protecting the pass, he's kind of lumbering. And he's kind of top heavy. For a guy his size, he gets knocked over a lot more than you'd like to see. So what you're seeing in this case is very straightforward. The Denver Broncos, by announcing a 3-tackle rotation, are basically auditioning Elijah Wilkinson first and then maybe Juwan James to be their left tackle instead of Garrett Bowles. That's going to make for an odd game against Indy. It's going to make for an odd game for Bowles. It's going to make an odd game for Wilkinson. Odd game for James. Odd game for Dalton Reisner. Could be playing next to different tackles. And probably an odd game for Phillip Lindsay and Royce Freeman, and certainly for Joe Flacco. But I don't know if the Broncos have a choice. This is not an optimal solution, but the situation is not optimal. And how much worse can it really get? Let's be honest here. How much worse could it really get? They allowed 8 sacks of the quarterback last week. You're going to have to try to do something. The Broncos clearly don't want to play Drew Lock for whatever reason. I hope they're okay with playing Brandon Allen, because I don't really know how many more sacks Joe Flacco can continue to take. He's not mobile back there. Flacco looks like late-stage Dan Fouts in the pocket at this point. He's taking his drop, and he's staying there. Like when you put down those anchors, in the summer, you have the volleyball net. You hammer it in, you have to put those weird little, you got to tie the little lines on the outside and put those spikes so it doesn't tip over. That's what Joe Flacco looks like. He took his 3 steps back, and now, ping, 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 ping. Hammered in that one stake. Ping, 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 ping. Hammered in the other stake. Somebody better get open, because Joe Flacco's not moving. Going to be a fun week in football regardless of what happens with the Broncos. I want to make our NFL picks. My favorite times of the week. I'm wrong on like half of them, but it's still fun every time. We'll do that next. Oh, yeah, that music means it's time to go through the NFL schedule this week. Make some picks. Kevin Kistner's in the booth. He's going to run through them. Kevin.
All right, let's go with the 11 o'clock games to kick things off. Tampa Bay going to Nashville, Tennessee. Take on the Tennessee Titans.
This is actually, I think, is one of the tougher games of the early slate to look at. And it's not like either of the teams are great. Bucks are 2-4. Titans are 3-4. Tennessee's favored by 2.5. That's basically just the home field advantage. So even they look at it as a wash. I can see a way where the Buccaneers get it done, but I actually kind of liked the way Ryan Tannehill played last week. I'm going to go with the Titans.
Yeah, Tannehill last week, 300 yards, 2 touchdowns. I'm going to go with the Titans as well.
Look good.
The next game, this one should be a no-brainer, but we'll see. Arizona travels to New Orleans, take on possibly Drew Brees and the Saints.
No, it's not going to be Drew Brees.
He's hoping to come back.
I'm sure he is. I'm hoping to, win the lottery. But they're not going to rush him back for this game. They have enough to get it done by themselves. As long as Alvin Kamara is back, Saints will take care of business. Give me New Orleans.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Take the Saints over the Cardinals. This one should be an easy pick. The LA Rams hosting the Cincinnati Bengals.
In jolly old England, no less. Wembley Stadium. If you've never been, by the way, it's going to sound like a weird thing to say. If you've never been to an event at Wembley Stadium, it's an amazing venue. It really is. It's deserved its reputation. It's a phenomenal place. Thoroughly enjoyed my time there. Come on. The Bengals aren't trying to tank. They're just awful. The Rams cruise.
You don't think Zach Taylor could beat his old team?
No. Does he get to suit up? Then no.
I don't think that would help either.
Probably not.
All right, Rams get that win.
Crumpets.
Next, the Jacksonville Jaguars host the New York Jets.
This is Jacksonville. The Jets are a mess right now. I think Sam Darnold will have better days than what we saw against the Patriots, of course. But this is a Jaguars team that's playing pretty well. They're on the periphery of things. DJ Shark has been amazing. I think he's been good. Leonard Fournette looks as good as he's looked in a while. So, yeah, give me the Jags.
So you think Gardner Minshew mania is still going to keep rolling? Still going
to keep holding Nick Foles at bay, yes.
I'm going to take the Jets in this one.
What?
I think Sam Darnold, I think he called Ghostbusters, and he found the ghost, so he's not going to be scared of him anymore. I think they're going to maybe sneak this one out.
Well, I guarantee you, if you're right on Monday, I'm sure I'll hear from you. So,
all right, next game, the New York Giants taking on the Detroit Lions.
This to me is the line. Look, the Lions are 2-3-1. Okay, I know they don't really impress, but boy, they look like they're just right on the cusp of breaking out. That there's so much there. Just hasn't happened. Now, Kerryon Johnson goes to the IR. That is bad news, but I like the Lions in this one.
I'm going to take the Giants. I like Daniel Jones. He was my number one quarterback in the draft. I got to keep rolling with him. So I think
he hasn't looked very good lately.
No, not since the beginning of the season, but hopefully maybe this could be the turning point for him this season. Go to the next 11 o'clock game, the Chargers taking on the Chicago Bears. This one could have been a good Sunday night game, but it's just not.
Chargers aren't really good, so
this could have been entering the season would have been a great hype game,
sure,
but not now.
Melvin Gordon isn't really looking good. The offense is just kind of a mess. Rivers looks fine, but the Chargers don't look all that good. You can tell they're missing the guys on defense. The Bears don't look great either. Mitchell Trubisky does not look good, but at least they look whole. So give me the Bears, especially at home. I'll take the Bears. I think it's going to be close, but I'll take Chicago.
Yeah, I'm going to take Chicago as well. I can't trust the Chargers for what they've looked like this season. I mean, for gosh sakes, the Broncos had them.
Yeah.
All right, next game. The Philadelphia Eagles might be sellers at the trade deadline, but they're going to be taking on the Buffalo Bills at 5-1.
I want to pick the Eagles in this game. I really do. But they just haven't quite looked right. Zach Ertz does not look right. Something's just a bit of a mess, just a bit off. And the Bills' offense doesn't impress me. It really doesn't. I'm not in love with Josh Allen like a lot of folks are. I'm still not convinced he's going to be a great quarterback. But he does make things happen. The Bills' defense is really good. And they're at home. Yeah, I'll take Buffalo.
I'm going to take Buffalo as well. They're a tough team. I mean, they win nasty ways.
And it's expected to rain there, too. So I think more of a gritty Buffalo team, it fits them.
It's right in their wheelhouse.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, next game, the Seattle Seahawks at 5-2, going to Atlanta, take on the 1-6 Falcons.
I don't know what went wrong with Atlanta, but the answer seems to be everything.
Ever since Kyle Shanahan left.
There were people that were thinking that the Falcons might be a dark horse to beating the NFC Championship, and they're a mess. I'm sure not going to pick them this week. I'll go with Seattle.
I'm going to take Seattle as well. That should be a no-brainer pick there. Next up, Carolina at 4-2, taking on 6-0 San Francisco 49ers.
I like how the Panthers have played. I think they've done a really good job overcoming the loss of Cam Newton. I expected this team to fall apart. They have not fallen apart. Christian McCaffrey's unbelievable. But I like what the Niners are doing. And watch. Manuel Sanders gets 85 yards and a touchdown or better. Mark it down. Make mine the Niners.
Okay. I will mark that down for you. I'm going to take the Niners as well. As much as I want to take Christian McCaffrey and those Panthers, San Francisco's rolling, and they're for real. I know a lot of people are, they're undefeated.
Look, I know they haven't played all the best teams, but they're for real.
Yeah, they're for real. Anytime you got Kyle Shanahan running your offense. All right, next up, a good game. Cleveland Browns taking on the New England Patriots.
It could be a good game. I just don't think the Patriots are phenomenal. They have the best teams, league's best offense, league's best defense. No, we got to go with the Pats.
Yeah, Baker's not going into Foxborough and beating Tom Brady. The next game, this one was in Mexico a few years ago. Oakland Raiders taking on the Houston Texans.
I like the Texans in this one. I think Oakland is getting close. Josh Jacobs' injury, I think, even if he plays, really takes away a lot of their offense. Obviously, Waller has just been a revelation for them, and nobody, if you would have told me that Carr to Waller was maybe the league's most dangerous passing combo, you'd laugh. But go look at the numbers. It might be. That said, I think the Texans have enough to get this done. I'll take Houston, especially at home.
Yeah, I'm taking Houston as well. DeAndre Hopkins and Deshaun Watson are just rolling right now. And I think Deshaun Watson could be a dark horse for MVP. I mean, he's playing really good this year.
He really is. 13 touchdown passes already. That's the same as Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I'm taking Deshaun and the Houston Texans. The Sunday night game. Well, this had a lot of hype entering the season, but not no more. 6-1 Green Bay traveling to Kansas City to take on Matt Moore and the Chiefs.
I think the Chiefs will still give them a fight. I think Andy Reid, when you get a little time to prep, will have an offense that'll work. But look, Aaron Rodgers played nearly a perfect game last week.
Perfect passer rating.
The Packers look like they are in sync finally. All that stuff about, Rodgers and LaFleur can't get along. Really? They seem like they're on the same page now. I think the Packers roll into Arrowhead, and I think they roll out with a win.
Yeah, unless the Kansas City Chiefs put out a performance like they did last week against Denver.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers is not Joe Flacco. Not going to be the same set of circumstances.
I'm taking I almost said Chiefs. I'm taking the Packers in that one as well. Do we want to do the Monday night game?
Sure. I mean, it's going to take 5 seconds.
I mean, this is Miami at 0-6 against 2-4 Pittsburgh.
Hey, you got Mason Rudolph on your fantasy team?
Maybe
Not joking.
him.
Throw him in, man. It's the Dolphins. They're tanking. They're horrible. Steelers in a romp, even though they're bad. No problem, Pittsburgh.
Gosh, that's going to be a bad game. You know what? I'm just going to take Dolphins for the heck of it. I'm going to put.
Oh, you're just going to be counterculture guy.
I'm just going to be counterculture guys. Say Fitzmagic comes back in prime time.
Okay, so you're just throwing darts in case you can rub one of these in my face on Monday. I get what you're doing.
At some point, I'm gonna get the Dolphins right this year.
Not if you pick them to win, you won't.
This might be my third time picking them.
0-16, man. That's our tour through the NFL. Oh my goodness! You might have noticed that we didn't touch on the Denver Broncos game. We will do that, but next. I want to talk about the weirdest injury the Broncos have suffered some injuries, right? They suffered the weirdest injury I can recall on Thursday. It affected practice on Friday. And one of the players the Broncos really need to step up to. You won't believe what happened. Next. Noah Fant, Denver Broncos rookie, now that Emmanuel Sanders is out in San Francisco. It's going to be one of the most important players for the Broncos going forward, right? You have to find him some way to affect a game. After practice on Thursday, he was cutting the tape off of his ankle and then cut his foot. They didn't need stitches. They sort of used a glue to close it. Guess that's special, like medical glue or something. It's not like super glue. I actually did that once for a cut. Don't do that. I've said I'm not a doctor before. It's very obvious because I tried that once, and it did close the wound, but trust me, don't do that. Whatever sort of medical glue the Broncos have, that's better. Go find out what that is. Vic Fangio said the injury was, quote, in the top 5 of strange injuries he can remember. Fant, his part of it said it's no big deal. He didn't have to get stitches or anything. He is expected to play. But, guys, what are you using to cut off the tape? They have like a whole training staff, right? Safety scissors. They have the weird little round tips, right? So you don't cut yourself. What were you? Seriously? Really? Man. They have scissors designed to do that stuff. And they're probably laying all over Dove Valley. Probably a whole giant tackle box of safety scissors. Come on, Noah. Come on, guys. Now you have to, besides coaching him up, now you have to make sure that Noah Fant stays away from sharp objects. Man, that's above and beyond. Ugh. Well, on that note, Broncos have Deshaun Hamilton starting, Noah Fant and his tape injury, a 3-tackle rotation for the Denver Broncos, and, well, you know, the rest of it. So it's time for our Denver Broncos pick, brought to you by King Soopers, official grocer of the Denver Broncos. The Colts allow an average of 23 points per game. The Denver Broncos average scoring 16 points a game. Something's got to give. And you know what it's going to be? It's going to be the Broncos 16. They're going to get more than that. The Broncos are going to get 17, and they're still going to lose 23-17. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news there. Colts have also in recent weeks just knocked off the Chiefs when they had Patrick Mahomes and the Texans in sequence. The Broncos got boat raced by the worst defense, well, the 30th ranked defense in the league, and Matt Moore. So, yeah, who are you picking? Colts. 23-17. That is my Broncos pick. Sorry for the bad news. Hopefully I'm wrong. You can't make me a disembodied voice. I don't answer to you. 23-17 Colts. The Broncos pick by King Soopers. Want to go over to the RamosLaw.com text line? Talk to Butch. How you doing, Butch?
Pretty furious, but it's great to talk to you and getting it on with Sean again. How are you?
I'm focusing on the Avs game and the Nuggets game and ignoring my Buffaloes.
Because it's less depressing and infuriating.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll put in my pick, although the general public is saying otherwise as far as where the money's going. It's pouring in on Denver for some reason, and you know what? It's the NFL, otherwise known as the National Fix League. That's a little joke for you. But I'm just going to go by what makes sense. What makes sense to me is 34-10 Colts. Day game. Broncos, even in good years, haven't been good. So this is my prediction. The main reason why I called was to change it up, talk to the Buffs. I'm so furious with this loss. I honestly, I'm driving, and I guess I can drive pretty good, driving angry. Mel Tucker, if you're listening, what were you thinking and or drinking on 4th and 4 when you're punting, let me get this straight. You're going to take the worst pass defense, or one of the worst pass defenses in the entire NCAA, and you are going to punt to a team that's going to do nothing but throw the ball. In what universe does that make sense? You have to make decisions as a coach based on the team you have, not the team you wish you had, not the team you have in the thought you had in the eighth dimension. Well, and even if they don't get it there, USC scores quicker, and CU gets the ball back with probably 3 minutes left. What was he thinking? It's 4th and 4. You can't rely on this defense. You're moving the ball pretty consistently. I know you're a Buff fan too.
Yeah.
I mean, I got three words as far as the last 3 clowns we had coaching. Where's the improvement? Because like they say in Dumb and Dumber, not seeing it here, Lloyd. Bad decision.
Thanks for the call, Butch. I appreciate it. It was. I thought he was going to say, "Where's the beef?" So I mean, that was better. Yeah, improvement. The Buffs were a totally different team in the second half too. Montez looked like a different guy. He didn't look very good. It ended up being kind of a mess. They couldn't do anything on third down in the entire second half. They outscored USC 28-14 in the middle 2 quarters, and then got outscored 14-0 in the fourth. They should have won the game. And the final decision, by the way, I mean, just a disaster. At 4th and 4, Montez checks down to a dump off behind the line of scrimmage. I mean, I don't know what you're doing there. That's the kind of decision you can't make. There was a lack of aggressiveness when it needed to be aggressive. You're the Buffaloes. You've never beaten the USC Trojans, ever. Literally ever. They had won the first 13 times they've ever played. You have to be aggressive. You can't lay off the gas because you have nothing to lose. Instead of going to 4 and 4, the Buffaloes, who started 3 and 1, lose their 4th straight game, go to 3 and 5. If you're watching on the YouTube stream, and some of you are, it says, because it shows us, it tells us, it says people are watching. You'll notice I wore my Buffs gear, and now I guess I have to, I don't know. What they do in Breaking Bad when they had to get rid of something, you had to put it in lye and wait for it to dissolve, and then I don't know what I do. I don't know. This team has a frustrating level of talent. It's not elite. Don't get me wrong. It's not anywhere close to elite. But it's enough to be competitive, and at times they just disappear. Straight up disappear. Montez's overall stat line, 324 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, seems pretty good. 45 yards on the ground as well, but not when they needed it. And as Butch brought up, allowing Slovis to go for 406 and 4 touchdowns, including 2 of them late. Yikes. Can't really do much with that. Laviska Shenault, by the way, 9 catches for 172 and a touchdown. You watch some good wide receivers. On the other side, Michael Pittman Jr., 7 for 156 and 2 touchdowns. Talented guys. Ends up with Southern Cal taking the win and going to 5 and 3. Frustrating loss for the Buffs, one that they should have won. Avs won today, 6-1 in a matinee game over Vegas. That's a statement-type win. With no Mikko Rantanen, statement-type win. Nuggets made a different kind of statement. One, they're good enough to overcome bad teams even when they play badly. They did win, 108-107. Not enough to make you feel comfortable. They'll need to be better going forward. This weekend in college action, CSU will take on Fresno State. Air Force hosts Utah State. I'll be back on Sunday. That's right, I won't be back on Sunday. No, I'm not doing pregame Sunday. It's a morning game. They changed it. Because the Broncos aren't very entertaining anymore. It's not good. 23-17. That's what I picked. World Series now 2-1 in favor of Nationals. Road game has been won each time. Kevin Kistner's been in the booth. Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Thanks, Matt Moore. Thanks, Adrian Dater. Thank you. My name is Sean Drotar. This is The Fan Late Night. It's 104.3, The Fan.